Is investing in the stock market the same as gambling and henceforth sinful? Let's talk about it for a minute. Welcome back to This is Ben, and I want to talk about whether or not investing in the stock market is the same as gambling, and therefore is it sinful? Well, right off the back, I want to say no, it is not. And for one main reason, when I said it in the opening line there, I said, is investing in the stock market the same as gambling? Now, investing and gambling are two different things. There's different ways to invest, but there are also different ways to gamble. Now, when you're gambling, and one of the most obvious ways that people gamble, let's say, is at a gas station, right? You go to a gas station, you're at the counter, you're checking out, you look to the left or to the right, depending where you're at, and there is a plastic case, and it has rolls and rolls and rolls of tickets in it, right? Lottery tickets. And you can purchase one of those lottery tickets, and you can scratch it, and you are 100% guaranteed to gamble and to have an extremely bad chance of winning any money, right? So you are paying money in the extremely rare chance, or to gain the opportunity, an extremely rare opportunity, to make any money back, right? If you look at the back of a ticket, depending on which one it is, it says odds of winning are 1 in usually tens of thousands of people, right? So only one person out of 10,000 people will win any of their money back at all. Most of the time you end up losing, right? So you are absolutely just throwing money and hoping that you win. There's no thought behind it. There's no skill behind it. There's no investing knowledge. You don't know what's coming because the odds are absolutely 100% random, right? Because you're just taking a ticket, you're scratching off what's on there. You don't know what's behind there. And so, yes, that is the definition of gambling, right? You're just throwing money at something at the extremely rare hope that you will receive some kind of a financial benefit. That's what gambling is. And that is not what the stock market is, because when you invest in the stock market, as I said again, you are investing. You're putting money into something to see a return, but you're not gambling. You're not just throwing money at something and hoping that you get it back. There's much more behind it, right? There's knowledge of a certain company. You can look at their stocks, past, present, and the outcome of the future. You look at quarterlies. You look at what their earning reports are. Are there dividends? Is this company, does it have a good track record of their stocks going up, right? Or you become a shareholder. So if you buy a share, and we're going to look at this, I have a Webull account, so we're going to open it up and I'm going to look at it in a minute. If you've never used the stock market before, I'm going to kind of give you the basics. I'm not a guru. I'm just going to show you the basics of what I have. But you buy a share in that company, which means you have stock in that company. You have a say in that company because you own a piece of that company forever until you decide to sell that share. Now that share can go up and down, so there is some instability in the market. And this is why it's important to invest, spend time learning the markets, spend time learning different companies. One thing that I heard years and years ago when people were talking is there was like a golden standard. The golden standard for years and years was always Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola was always consistent. They were always trending upwards. It was slowly, but it was steadily. They would, obviously have periods where they would go down when their earnings would come out, things like that, but they always came back up, and their graph would incrementally always go into the positive, right? So there was a golden standard. And there are a lot of companies that are very consistent like that, depending on their leadership. There's also things like stock options that you can get into. There's futures, things that I would not recommend for a new person to the stock market. I dabbled in options briefly just to try them out because I wanted to see what they were all about, what it was like to invest in an option. It was more of a learning thing, and I ended up losing. I invested in 2 options, and I lost. I was fairly certain I was going to lose. But it was because I didn't go long enough in the option, and if I had bought a longer contract, I would have eventually got in the money instead of out of the money. But obviously, that's the thing, though. Even just sitting here dialoguing about it, there's so much more to it than just buying a ticket or going and sitting in front of a slot machine, pulling the handle and just hoping it comes up, or sitting at a roulette table and they roll the ball and spin the thing. And by the way, before I get into this, I want to say, I don't inherently have a problem with gambling in the sense that if you were going to gamble, I don't believe it falls into the realm of sin unless you are gambling in a way that you can't afford to gamble. So if let's say you and some family or some friends want to go off on a weekend and go to, what's the clearest place? Cherokee, I believe, has an O'Hara's, which is a casino. Down in Louisiana, you can gamble. There's a lot of places that you can go gamble. And if you and your friends just want to get together, go play some penny slots or some nickel slots or some blackjack or some Texas Hold'em or something, and you utilize money that you don't have to have, that you don't need to pay bills, that you don't need to buy food, that you don't need to get diapers, that you don't need to use gas. If you're going and the money that you were bringing to gamble with, you can afford to lose and you've already decided how much you're going to spend ahead of time, I don't inherently have a problem with that because you're just going to have fun, right? You are, in essence, paying to be entertained, and the outlet just happens to be gambling. But if you cannot afford to gamble, if the money you're going to use is something you should be spending on bills and gas and food and toiletries and diapers and things for your kids, and if you're behind on your mortgage, and if you need a car payment that you need to pay, then you don't get to gamble. Yes, that falls into the realm of sin. It's just being extremely immature, being reckless with your money, not spending what we're supposed to be, putting people's lives potentially at risk. I mean, gambling is something that you can become addicted to, as is the case with just about anything. And a lot of people, I've known people that work in the industry, in gambling industries and things like that, and they've told me stories where they just see people, it's just heartbreaking, where they just throw their lives away. They just, thousands of dollars gone instantly because they're addicted to gambling, and they're just trying and trying and trying to win that big score. So, win, scratch a ticket and win millions of dollars, pull the thing and win millions, and just retire and all that. And they just throw their lives away. Yes, that's obviously sinful. So that'd be my where I would put a dividing line within gambling. If you're doing it for fun and you can afford to do it, and it's just something for entertainment that you do sometimes, that's okay. If you're gambling because you're trying to win enough money so you can retire and never work again, and you're using money that you should be using elsewhere, that is absolutely sinful, and you shouldn't do that. So now that we've covered that and the distinction between that, the two sides of that, let's talk about the stock market and what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close myself down. I'm just going to bring Webull up. Now, Webull is the trading platform I have, and this is another interesting thing. So what I'm going to do, if you've ever seen people that have a large channel and they talk about the stock market, one reason they are so large and one reason they keep doing it is because they use referral links to get money in stocks. Now, I'm going to use a referral link. And the reason that they do it and the reason I'm going to do it is just another technique for them to get free stocks and to make money. So they'll use a referral link. They'll put it in their video description, and I'll have it in my video description for mine. And if you were to click on that on their channel or this channel, then I would receive, I think, 1 to 2 stocks. Sometimes they're on promotions, and so you can get a free stock. It's usually a cheap one valued at like $5 or $6, but it's still a free stock. So I would get 1 or 2, and you would get 1 or 2. And that's the thing with these big channels. They use referral links, but they get a lot of people to click on their things. So they'll get hundreds of free stocks. And then they can sell those stocks pretty quickly and make a bunch of money. So that's one way that people make money. And I just want to be honest up front, and that's what people do. And so that's just one way in that you can invest, is to have referral links to get people in, and that helps you make money. So if you did it, then I would get a few free stocks and you would get some. And then if you did it with somebody else, you would get a few free stocks. So we already see a difference here between gambling and investing in the stock market. Gambling is a one-time transaction where you're trying to win money, and then whereas investing in the stock market, even in the very beginning, even in your first interaction with the actual stock market, you can make a couple of bucks. So it's very interesting. I think this is an interesting thing that I think a lot of Christians spend a lot more time learning. I wish I had been more savvy with the stock market when I was younger. I'm 33 now, and I'm just now kind of starting to get my feet wet. But I see the utility of it. I see the promise of being financially secure in the stock market. Obviously, there is the potential for it to crash and to lose money, but it's a good investment opportunity, and I think everybody should be invested in it, at least in a little bit. Just not millions of dollars, but $50 here, $20 here, $50 there, a few stocks here. Start small and then work on. But enough of me rambling on. Let's look at Webull, which is the platform I use. I would suggest you use Webull. It's very good. Some people use Robinhood to start out, but Robinhood has had a lot of problems over the years. They've had a lot of outages, and so I would warn against using Robinhood. I would use Webull. I haven't heard any problems about it. I like using it. The interface is very simple. It's easy to use. I usually use it on my phone, but I'm going to show you my desktop version. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, this is Webull.com. This is where you will go to start your account if you don't already have one, or if you just click on the link that will be in the description, it'll take you to it and you can automatically sign up. This is a good website. It's very cheap to trade on. It's very user-friendly, especially for beginners. 0 commissions and no deposit minimums, so you can start and just have one stock. Because some of the other trading platforms, you have to have more money in. They're a lot more advanced, which is good for if you're an advanced trader. But if you're somebody who's just getting into it, or you're just an average trader, you're a swing trader, which means you trade sometimes. A day trader is somebody that trades a lot of stocks every single day. It's very risky. If you don't know what you're doing, you can lose a lot of money. But a lot of people swing trade, which is what I do. And you'll just buy a stock here, buy a stock there, put 50 in here, put 100 in there, and you can slowly invest, and you can build up your portfolio. There's a couple of different ways that you can trade. Like I mentioned earlier, there is stocks, and stocks are the most basic way to trade. So you'll have a stock, and we'll go up here and take a look, such as Under Armour. So this is Under Armour. You can see up here, UA stands for Under Armour. That's their symbol. The chart can be broken down into different times. So you can have an hour or 2 hours, or you can have the yearly. The range can be 1 day. So we can look at the day. You can put it on 5 days. And so your chart can be broken down into many different ways. So you can tell, you can look at it and say, oh, okay, what were they doing back on August, right? So this is August the 1st. So this is what their stocks were doing. It was up and then down, then up, down a little bit. And then on the August 3rd, it spiked and it went up, and it peaked at 22.15, and then it came down, and it's in 1974 right now. So if you look at a stock and you want to know how much it costs to get in, you will look up here. It'll have the price right here. To buy 1 share in Under Armour stock, it'd be $19.74. Now this moves up and down as people buy shares, sell shares, as earning reports come in for the company. You can see a progress back every single day. You can see what the price was. So it was $19 a few days ago. I think it was yesterday. And then it jumped up. This is a 5-minute chart, as you see. So each one of these, they're called candlesticks, represents 5 minutes of movement in this company's stock while the stock market was open. Right, so they're known as candlesticks. So depending on what you click on up here, if I was to click on 1 hour, each one of these candlesticks would represent 1 hour of time. And so this is the peak of where the stock was during that time interval, and this is the low point. And this is how you make money in the stock market. This is why it's different than gambling. So if you invest in the stock market, and you're smart, and you take your time, you look at companies, you study their patterns, and you look, okay, when is a good time to get into stock? When is a good time to get out of the stock? If you were looking at Under Armour, and you bought in, you saw it coming down, right? So it was coming down. They probably were oversold. So it dropped, and somewhere in this area, you would see it was kind of trying to plateau a little bit. It's like this is a steep curve, so the price was going down. So if you had ownership of some of these stocks, you would be losing a little bit of money, or at least the price of the stock would be going down. But if you got in somewhere in here, let's say if you bought at the bottom, you bought the stock for $19, well, then you paid $19. But then what happened? Well, a few hours later, the price went up to $19.74. So now if you bought in right here at $19 in 1 cent, well, the stock is now $19.74. If you sold 1 stock or 1 share in this stock, you would have made 73 cents. And that is how people make money in the stock market. You buy a share in a stock, or several shares, or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, if you get really big, then each one of those shares would have risen by 73 cents. So if you had 100 shares in Under Armour and you bought them at 1901, and then you sold all 100 in 1974, you would have made $73, right? 73 cents times 100, $73. And that's how you make money in the stock market. It's very simple. Obviously, it can become much more complicated. But this, again, as we see, is way different than gambling. right? Because gambling is just a one-time transaction. It's all chance. There's no skill, there's no investing, there's no looking at stocks, there's no looking at the markets. There's none of that. So there's no way for you to make money. All right, I hope this has helped, guys. Like I said, I just wanted to do a very basic intro to the stock market and talk about whether or not it's sinful, whether or not it's different than gambling. And I would like to encourage people to invest in the stock market. As you can see, I'm over on the side over there. I don't have a lot invested in it right now. I had several $100s, but I ended up pulling some of that out. Me and my wife had some issues, had a miscarriage several months back, and so we had fell behind because I missed some work because of that. And so I pulled most of my money out, but I'm getting to start getting back into the stock market. I'm going to start investing into it regularly with every paycheck. And I would like to encourage you to do the same. I think it's a good tool that you can utilize along with everything else. It can be kind of addictive. It can be a place where you can lose money, but that's the case with anything else. I often see people who don't like the stock market saying things like, well, it could be a waste of money. You're kind of playing the odds, and you could lose a lot of money, and you're making a lot of arguments in that vein. And that, while that is true, there are ways to hedge your bets. It's hard to lose an extremely large amount of money just doing regular stocks, buying and selling shares. If you were to do options tradings or maybe cryptocurrency or looking at other things like that, so those can be more risky. But this is still a very good tool that you could utilize to get into. I would suggest that you do it. I would suggest that you start with paper trading first if you're not sure exactly whether or not you want to put money in. Now, paper trading is where you can make kind of a fake account, and you can trade with fake money on the real stock market. So you're not trading money, you're just trading paper, right? So you would use the actual stock market, such as Apple. This is Apple on the screen. So Apple's $148, and on paper trading, you can say, okay, I want my account to say I have $5,000. And then you can use fake money to follow the market in real time, and then it would show you whether or not you're making money or you're losing money. So you can practice with the stock market without having to invest a single penny, and that way you can get much more comfortable with it. And I would suggest that you do that first, maybe, before you do anything else. And that's a good way to see whether or not you feel comfortable with it, see if it's something that you want to try, whether you want to invest in. But yes, I would suggest that you invest in it. I'm going to invest in it more. I think I'm going to probably do more videos about this in the future. I'm going to try to spend a little more time becoming much more well-versed in the stock market so that I can share with you guys, share my knowledge, whatever little bit I have right now. Yeah, and I would suggest that you get into the stock market. But like I said, this is a good website. You can use the link down below to start. This is their page right here when you get in. The one thing you're going to start with is stocks. Now, there are things such as options and ETFs and cryptos. I'll just briefly talk about those. Options trading, you have to apply for. I would not suggest you start this in the beginning. I've done it twice. I lost money both times, but it was a good learning experience. And I was able to lose that money. I already assumed I would lose it. And you have to be ready emotionally and financially to lose any money you put in, because there's always a possibility you could lose. But options trading is where you buy one option, and then that gives you the right to own 100 options, and then you can do what's called exercising that option, which would mean you would buy all 100 of those options, which is something you never do. It's just something you can do, or you almost never do it. That's a whole different world of trading. But you can make and lose money severely quickly using this, because you're leveraging 100 shares. Not only are you buying the option to buy those 100 shares or to exercise them, your money also is being leveraged using 100 shares, whereas if you just bought one share and it went up $5 on a regular stock, you would make $5. If it went down $5, you would lose $5. But using options trading, you can make and lose several $100s depending on the movement of a certain stock. So those I would stay away from. ETFs are good. ETFs, mutual funds, are where you invest into a certain ETF, and that ETF represents a group of shares or stocks. And so once the ETF, they will invest that money for you into different stocks, into separate stocks at the same time. So those are pretty safe. ETFs, mutual funds, like those are good things to invest in. I haven't done a lot of those. I will in the future. And then you have cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. Got the B here. Everybody's heard of Bitcoin. I don't know a lot about cryptocurrency myself. I've never invested in it. I have spent a little bit of time looking at it, but that is another thing you could look at. But once again, you have to apply for that. So you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Dogecoin, I think was one that came out that I heard a lot about. But yes, this is a good website. A good website to start on. It's very user friendly. Trading times are right here. It opens in the morning at 9:30 and it closes at 4, I believe, here where I'm at on the East Coast. Yeah, let's take a look, see if there's anything else. Stay connected. You open an account now. So you can either come to the website, open it here for free, or you can click my link and you'll get a stock, I'll get a stock, and everybody wins. All right. Well, I appreciate stopping by, guys. Thanks for listening to me rant about the stock market for a little bit. I just want to talk about, whether or not it was sinful. And if you already are in the stock market, then obviously you're looking at me thinking, well, this guy's trying, he obviously doesn't know a whole lot about it. And I'm just an amateur. But I do want to encourage people to look at it and to not feel any moral repulsion by it. Because if you don't know anything about the stock market like I did years ago, I never traded in it, and I never learned anything, and you hear about the stock market crash of the 20s, and you hear about the market crash, and you see things on TV, and you're like, oh, people losing money. You hear stories about people losing money. And from the outside, if you don't know anything about it and you're not invested in it, it can seem extremely scary. Like you're going to lose millions of dollars, and anybody who invests in it just loses millions or makes millions. And you hear, well, there's Warren Buffett, and he's, this guru, and, mom makes all this money. And then you go, oh, this guy lost $750,000 in options trading. And so you never hear the stuff, the non-exciting stuff, the everyday stock market where people just buy and sell and make a little bit of money here, make a little bit of money there, invest, and over time your portfolio grows. So don't be scared. Don't feel hesitant to join the stock market. I would say maybe start an account. Like I said, get a free stock. You can play around with that stock, and if you decide it's not for you, you can sell that stock, and you'll make $5 just for trying it out. All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by. What do you think about the stock market? Do you use Webull? Do you use Robinhood? Do you use TD America? Who do you use to trade for? Do you think the stock market is sinful? Is it the same as gambling? What has your experience been with the stock market? Just anything stock market related within Christianity, put in the comments down below. Subscribe to my channel for more stuff like this, more theology, more doctrine, which is where I usually spend most of my time. And we'll see you later, guys.